Kent, well, you know what? While we're talking about Kent Bazemore, and he's not like a hot topic or anything.
He is with
I
me.
okay. I see a lot on social media. No experts, no like verified sources saying these things, but um, people are having the discussion and who's going to get cut from you know the training camp to make the 15-man roster. A lot of people are saying Kent Bazemore is going to get cut. And these are just guesses, from Kings fans. I personally don't agree with it. You don't have another backup small forward, and he's really your only guy. But I mean, what are your thoughts? Is Bazemore pretty much a lock in your eyes for to make this team?
He's close to a lock by default.
Yeah,
Got
right.
experience. He brings a lot to the bench. Um, but he did have a terrible year in Los Angeles, and he is, the oldest player on this team. Um, so like he's got a lot of questions to answer before anybody just says, yeah, he's going to be the primary one behind Barnes. Uh, accumulating minutes. Um, Now, we talk a lot about the fact that they have a lot of depth at shooting guard and that the 6'9" wingspan on Terrence Davis. He can they can fill in, and even Keegan Murray was talking about him as a power forward. You can't necessarily rule him out playing more on the wing. I mean, like I guess they could kind of back up by committee in some way. You wouldn't want them to do that. You'd like to have a dependable person, and I still think Bazemore can be that guy, but there's questions. To see him get cut, I think, you'd have to talk about our boys, KZ Okpala or Chima Moneke or even Sam Merrill, like tearing it up, like proving that, to prove in training camp that you deserve backup minutes behind Barnes, which also entails cutting Bazemore. I mean, that's kind of like, that's a little close to a pipe dream. Not impossible. Those guys are confident, like I said. I don't know if I caught anything from KZ Okpala, but Moneke, so much confidence, referring to himself as the best cut, one of the best cutters in the world, or the best cutter in the world. You gotta love that. And but you'd really have to see them actually perform. It's Bazemore's job to lose, but he still really has to prove that he can have a bounce back year. That's a big thing. And we're talking about kind of how this Kings team seems to be kind of like building momentum and chemistry and stuff even before camp starts. And, I think Bazemore is kind of a part of that. And so, we'll see. And I think the experience and kind of the team cheerleader type aspect of him and locker room presence, that'll definitely play into his favor. But I don't know. I don't know if he necessarily gets cut, but he's got a lot to prove. I definitely think that. And I don't. I think that's the biggest question on the Kings roster, easily, like without any doubt in my mind. The depth behind Barnes, which it seems pretty consistent because it seems to be a consistent concern. But we'll have to see. It's definitely. You can also say that having Bazemore coming into camp, despite the season he had last year, is still pretty much better than seasons past. The situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is Bazemore's job to lose. I mean, even after his poor season last year with the Lakers, I mean, he's an experienced NBA veteran at this point in his career. He's proven that he can be better, and he's a year removed from having a decent year in Golden State where he shot the three ball pretty well, wasn't like a liability anywhere. I
That's
don't,
important to point out. He had a great, and it was a surprise that he, didn't stick around there. But go on.
yeah, and yeah, he wanted a better opportunity to win, so he went to LA. He leaves Golden State to he goes to LA because he thought he had a better opportunity to win there, um, which is funny. And
Kent Bazemore.
and so I just, you need that guy behind Barnes. I say it a million times. I've said it a million times because you do. Barnes gets burned out really easily. Um, And Bazemore's done it before. Not first time doing it on the Kings either. He's been Barnes' backup in the past, a couple times really. Once for the Warriors and once for the Kings. And um, yeah, like you said, I mean, Akpala or Maneke really have to prove that they can not be a liability in their 15, 20 minutes that they'll play a game, as Barnes' backup, maybe even less. I can see Bazemore averaging more around 15 minutes a game,
Mm-hmm.
with a mix of Herter or Davis at the three at times. But I think Bazemore will make the team, and just hope he has a better year than he did last year. And he said he's excited to come back. He loves the fans here, and I think he said that he even wanted to come back, but it didn't work out or something. Or anyways,
And just one more thing. I mean, like, I'm kind of one of the more like skeptics on Kent Bazemore coming in this year. But one of the things you do have to give him credit for in relation to Herder, Monk, and Davis is he's probably the best defender out of them. I mean, like
true.
at his age, you might see some decline there. But I think like he can be the best defender out of that lot of four. Since we're talking about a situation where, like we said at the beginning of this is a big mix of talent. It's going to be interesting to see how all these pieces work out. And even it kind of like the lines blur between positional lines. And that's just that's just the way it is in the modern NBA. And so that's kind of another good sign of this team. But Kent Bazemore, we'll have to see. But, it'd be surprised he gets cut. And this is definitely a better backup going into camp than we've had in recent years.